On this episode, we head to the top of Europe, where unexpected hurdles cause us to change our plans. It's a cold and cloudy morning, and I slept not nearly as good as last night. But it was time to pack it up and get on the road. Today I want to get to Honningsvåg, Norway, in time to make it to the daily bus that goes up to Nordkapp, so there is a bit of a schedule to keep up to. So it's 8 in the morning, all packed up, set to go back to the airport. Unfortunately, there were no commercial flights that morning, so the airport was completely empty and the cafeteria was closed. So no hot breakfast for me today.
Visibility 10 kilometers or more.
I initially hoped for VFR weather conditions, but it was worse than forecasted, and the clouds were overcast at only 700 feet. So I had to replan the flight for IFR. It's not too difficult to do, but it does take some time to review the procedures that can be expected. I do an engine run-up, which is a procedure done before every flight to make sure the engine and its associated systems work properly. And we taxi to runway 04 for takeoff northbound.
Run-up is good. Eval traffic, Lima Yankee Bravo from Zulu, taking off runway 14.
Here we can see the beach where I spent the night, and quickly we climb into cloud. It's a thin layer, and soon we are greeted by sun and blue skies.
Lima Yankee Bravo Uniform 2. Hello, radar contact.
As we cross into Norway, the clouds clear up, and the views of the rugged tundra open up. There's even snow on some of the ridges.
And already have the field in sight. This is beautiful.
Caution, terrain ahead. Terrain, pull up. Pull up.
The approach into Honningsvåg is a spectacular one. We fly into a fjord and make a 180-degree left turn to runway 08. The airport is quite small, so everything goes fast, and shortly I am on my way into town. So just parked the plane here at Honningsvåg airport, and about a 3-kilometer ride into town we're gonna catch the bus from there to go to Nordkapp. At the tourist center, I board a bus that will take about 50 minutes to reach Nordkapp. On the way, we enjoy a scenic windy road through the Arctic wilderness, make a stop to enjoy the scenic views, and also at a small Sami souvenir shop. Sami are the native people of Lapland, and here we can get a taste for their old way of life. The driver sets the mood by singing an old Norwegian fisherman's song. It was sunny when we arrived, and the driver recommended that we go to the tourist center and see the film about Nordkapp first. Which I did, and unfortunately after the film, this happened. This wouldn't be the only time Arctic maritime weather played a trick on me on this trip. Weather changes every 5 minutes here, they say. So let's wait 5 minutes and see if it does. Because right now, we can't see anything. We head back to Honningsvåg, spotting quite a few reindeer herds along the way. The island is a summer grazing ground for the reindeer, and the herders even use ferries to transport thousands of them here every season. Honningsvåg is a small town with a population of just over 2,000 people. The number of people drastically increases in the summer months, as that is the gateway to tourists visiting Nordkapp. The place is especially popular with bikers. Nordkapp is a bucket list for many of them, and thousands ascend every summer almost as a pilgrimage. The main industry here is fishing. There are several fish processing plants, And there are quite a few fish drying racks all around town, making the whole place smell like dried fish. After a quick tour of the town, I headed back to the airport. But as expected, the unexpected happens. I find out that my next intended airport in Honningsvåg is closed today, so I start looking at other options. But two factors come into play. One is that the weather is not looking that good in Tromsø and further south. And another one is that only now I find out that the only way to pay for avgas in most Norwegian airports is with a special fuel card, which I don't have. So I try calling several airports to find out if there are other options, but with no luck. I was a bit tired already, so I decided to call it a day and spend the night in Honningsvåg. After a hot shower and a good night's rest, I tried calling a few airports and air clubs, but that morning, for some reason, nobody's picking up. I guess we have to start looking more seriously into plan C, which is fly back to Finland and change our routing completely to go through Finland and Sweden. See how that works out. It looks like my Norwegian coast route is just not meant to be. So I decided to head south through Finland. I put together a flight plan and headed to the airport. First stop today will be Rovaniemi. But before that, we're gonna visit Nordkapp again. Only this time from the air. Nordkapp is known as the northernmost point of continental Europe, which technically is not correct because this point, right here, just a few kilometers away, is actually more north than Nordkapp. And if you get even more into detail, that's not true either because technically these points are on an island and the northernmost point of continental Europe is about 70 kilometers east, close to the town of Mehamn. Nonetheless, it's still a very spectacular place, and experiencing it from the air was really amazing. We head south over the remote areas of northern Norway. Fjords and tundra turn into mountains and valleys, turn into forests and swamps, and we are back in Finland.
So now we're flying at 3,000 feet over once again beautiful Finnish forests. Lunch, a nut bar and some blueberry yogurt.
In Rovaniemi, we top off the fuel tanks, visit the terminal to pay the airport fees, use the facilities, and ride back at it to our next stop, Turku in southern Finland. On the way to Turku, I start wondering if it is worth pushing further southwest over the next days, since the weather forecasts are not good. There is a low-pressure system moving through southern Scandinavia, and it's supposed to bring a lot of rain, low clouds, and strong winds, which means I could only fly to as far as Stockholm area and then possibly get stuck there for the next several days waiting for the weather to pass. Or from Turku, it's only a 3-hour flight home, and I could wait out the weather there. We will see tonight. Here's one of the numerous road bases in Finland, which are runways that are actually sections of a public road. They serve as backup bases for military aircraft. Okay, so here we are, Turku airport. Just grabbed my bike and a little bit of stuff for overnight. I'll go grab a hotel in town and reassess the situation, make a plan for tomorrow. One thing I love about Finland is these very wide bike paths, and they go everywhere. I slowly make my way into town and find a hotel. It's a Friday night and the evening is very warm, so a lot of people were out having fun. I also went out for a walk to enjoy the change of scenery. Later that evening, it was time to make a decision on tomorrow's plan. Looking at the forecast for southern Scandinavia and Scotland, the weather did not look good. Several low-pressure systems were moving through one after another, meaning that without taking undue risk, I could only reach Iceland in at least a week. I made my decision to head back home. The next morning, I woke up to rain and low clouds. It was supposed to get better, but still I decided to file an IFR flight plan in case the clouds were to remain low. Cycling back to the airport. It's busy today. Looks like I'm the only one here again.
Turku Tower, terve, Lima Yankee, Bravo Uniform Zulu. Alright, so started up, oil pressure's in the green, instruments are checked, and we've been cleared after departure direct to Upapu. That means it's an omnidirectional departure. Alright, so an omnidirectional departure for runway 26 is climb straight ahead until minimum turning altitude, which is 550 feet. Lima Yankee, Bravo Uniform Zulu, ready for taxi.
Departing from Turku, I knew I made the right decision to go back home, because what I saw looking at the weather radar here was nothing compared to what it looked like in Denmark that day. And that's one of the things about trips like this. We have to be flexible and not push ourselves into situations that we might regret. We never know for sure where we will end up at the end of the day, but wherever we do end up, we do our best to get there safely. And it's all part of the adventure, so let's enjoy it.
So we do have some spare time. I guess I'll use this time to fill out the books. I need to catch up on my logbook. Lima Yankee Bravo from Zulu, 51100, Urido.
Lima Uniform Zulu, связь с 870 дачи, мир 7, також 36 лейсов супимый.
Four days later, I'm back at home. This turned out to be quite a nice warm-up trip before the big one across the pond. We now have 5 days for the bad weather to pass and en route winds to become more favorable. I will spend some time with the family and I'll see you back here for the next part of our journey to Scotland.